All right, in this video we are looking at section 1.5, the last section of chapter 1. We're rewriting equations and formulas. Okay, so our learning target for this video, by the end of the video, you will be able to rewrite literal equations. And a literal equation, by definition, is just an equation that has two or more variables. So let's take a look at example 1 here. We're rewriting a literal equation, and our directions are to solve the literal equation, and here's our equation. We're solving for y. So we know it's a literal equation because we see that we have variable x and a variable y inside of the equation. So if we want to isolate y and get y by itself, we're just going to use our equation solving skills. So first step is going to be, hopefully you said our first step is to subtract 4x on both sides. And when we do that, positive 4x, negative 4x equals 0. Negative 7y is equal to negative 4x plus 12. Okay, we're trying to get the y by itself, and right now negative 7 is multiplied to y. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 7. And when we do this, we end up with y is equal to, so I'm going to break this up into two fractions. Negative 4 over negative 7 is just 4/7 x plus 12/7. And now we've solved for y. Okay, so our next example, we're rewriting a literal equation, and this literal equation that has variables of w and p, we're going to solve for w. So you can see that there's a w in this first term here, 3w, and there's a w over here, 4wp. So what we need to do as the first step here, since two terms have the w, we need to factor out a w. So we're going to factor out the w, and when we divide 3w by w, we're left with 3. And then when we divide 4wp by w, so it's like this, the w and the w cancel, and we're left with 4p. And this is equal to a. Okay, so again, we're solving for w, so we're going to divide both sides by this entire quantity. So I'm going to leave it in parentheses, and I'm dividing by 3 plus 4p. So I'm dividing both sides by 3 plus 4p, and you could put the parentheses. So this quantity, the top divided by the bottom gives us a w, because that's 1. And then on the right side, we have a divided by 3 plus 4p. And remember, we can't add these two terms because they're not like terms. So w is equal to a divided by 3 plus 4p. So example 3, we're rewriting a formula for area. This is often where you're going to see this idea of literal equations. So in science, you will see a lot of literal equations. And we have the formula for the area of a circle is the area equals pi times the radius squared. And so we want to solve this equation for r. So we know that the area is equal to the constant pi times the radius squared. So since these are multiplied together, in order to bring pi to the other side, we're going to divide. So we divide both sides by pi, so we get the area divided by pi is equal to the radius squared. Now, in order to get rid of the squaring, the inverse process is to take the square root. So we need to take the square root of both sides, and then over here, we're left with r is equal to, because the square and the square root cancel, the square root of the area of the circle divided by pi. And there you solve for the radius.